The Church at Prayer. We've invited several storytellers again this afternoon to lead us in prayer by sharing a specific moment where prayer has become vital and real in their unique place of ministry and witness. Last night we heard from several pastors and churches that have recently transitioned into the conference in this last year, and today, this afternoon, we've asked some of our agency and mission organizations to lead us into some storytelling. And so we have from Church Planting Manitoba, Hapta Michael Baraki from the Philadelphia Eritrean Church, and Claude Pratt from Family Life Network, Daryl Jansen from Simon House, and Adrian Entz from MBCI. So let's enjoy hearing how they have experienced prayer over the past several months. Hapta Michael, let's start with you. Now, go ahead and tell your story, and I'm going to ask you a question because I have a bit of an idea of what story you're going to tell, and there's a particular thing I'm very curious about. But you pray in your church, do you?
Yes.
You do. Hold the mic right close to your...
My name is Hapta Michael Baraki. I'm a pastor of Philadelphia Eritrean Church. We have 3 times a week. We have prayer in our congregation. One is it is related with the Bible study for 1 hour prayer only. The second is Saturday, always Saturday, from 12 o'clock to 4 p.m. We have prayer and fast, and all the members are invited to this prayer, and they are very dedicated for prayer and fast. And we have special prayer night. It starts 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. night. This is more than 25 people. They participate always Wednesday. We are praying for our city, Winnipeg. We intercede. We have spiritual warfare, and we have praising, and we are worshiping Lord. So this is our prayer life. We didn't say this is enough. We learn to pray much in our country because of the persecution of Christianity, and because of we have enough time. We will learn to pray more than this, to start 10 p.m. and to finish 4 a.m. in the morning. But now with work, with other things, we are praying from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. We have a wonderful prayer time. Yeah.
And can I ask you why midnight? Does prayer change when we pass midnight, like 10 p.m. to 1 a.m.? Is it important that we get? Why not 4 in the afternoon? Yeah. Why midnight?
Yeah, it is a wonderful question. We did that program because of most of our members are newcomers. They are very busy in work, so they decide to find a right time and long time to start at 10 p.m. after they finish their work, and they came to my basement house. So in my house we decide that time because that is very, very available time. Also to do spiritual warfare, because in night time there is many work of darknesses. Also they work in the night, so we need to overcome this work of evil spirit.
Thank you, Hapta Michael. Claude, let's turn the microphone to you. Family Life Network, share with us one of your stories.
Well, prayer is one of the 7 core values of Family Life Network, and if you were here last night, you saw Henry Petker, one of the founders, talking about prayer and how it motivated him. In 2 weeks' time, there's going to be what's called the Eurasia consultation taking place in Germany, and it's where 250 delegates from various missions organizations are meeting together to strategize, to be exposed to brand new technology, but it's an undisclosed place because they're dealing with ministry to Muslims and other peoples in other closed parts of the world in Eurasia. And we have our Russian director and our Ukrainian director going to be there, and I'll join them 2 weeks from today. So what I want to do is just read to you from some emails I received from Leonid. This is through the month of February, because remember I said in 2 weeks this consultation is taking place. On February the 9th, Leonid wrote me and said, I had a 2:45 appointment at the German embassy. Now this is in Moscow. Arrived at 2:15 and had to wait for 45 minutes outside where it was minus 18 degrees. He gets in. He discovered that even though he had a signed invitation from the conference organizers, the signature of the person who was running the conference center, where the conference is, was missing. So he was issued a new appointment to come back on February the 21st. That's when he contacted us. He said, you need to be praying for us. And every Tuesday morning, we have a staff prayer meeting. So on February the 21st, I received this from him. Arrived for my appointment and was informed that I now required photocopies of the picture page of the 3 passports of the people who signed the invitation. Now you say, well, that's not bad. Just run home, get onto the email, get them to fax it to you. But from the embassy to his place is a 1.5 hour drive. Never goes smoothly. He'd have a 1.5 hour drive back, plus he's having to wait for materials coming from Germany. So he finally gets back to the embassy at 3:30 in the afternoon. It closes at 4. He gets there with the materials, only to discover that one of the documents of the 3 he had photocopied twice. So rather than bringing 3 documents, he really only had 2 documents. So he gets there to the embassy, explains this to the person, but also mentioned to her that they would have received the same copies by fax, so he thought he was covered. She replied to him, it was not her responsibility to check the fax machine at the German embassy. So they issued him another appointment. He left feeling that it was totally gone, he wasn't going to be able to go, continued to ask us for prayer. Then on February the 27th, we received this quote, thank you for your prayer. Yes, I got visa to Germany. I am very thankful to people from Wycliffe, Germany. They gave call to German embassy to say everything is now okay. Now, why emphasize this? Here in Canada, we expect things to go our way. In Russia, you can't expect it. And even though he went back and forth, if it weren't for the fact that people have been praying and God overrules even Russian affairs, he wouldn't have gotten or received his visa.
Daryl, if you drive about 8 hours north from here, you'll find Simon House Bible Camp. Daryl, tell us one of your prayer stories.
Yeah, you know, we've really come to realize that prayer is the fuel for our ministry. At camp, we have close to 80% or so unchurched campers who come, and we minister in an environment where there's, there's lots of challenge, lots of opposition, and lots of things to deal with. And prayer has become incredibly important. We pray every day just to get through that day. And as many of you know, 2 summers ago, we had a forest fire that was imminently threatening the camp. And while we were out evacuating that camp, we got word that it was also another flank was threatening the town. And so at one point for about a week, my house and the camp were both looking like they could go. And that was a long week of prayer. But last summer, we were glad the fire thing was over with lots of water down here. We also had received some which kept the fire threat down, but unfortunately, we had just an incredible summer of storms. I'd never seen so much wind and rain before. We had one night with 80 millimeters of rain, and we had trees coming down, and one actually broke through our cabin roof in the middle of the night and landed about 4 feet off of my kids. And, so lots of damage there. And the staff, though, they're resolute. They just continue to not let these things distract them from our mission and our purpose, and continue to pray. every day. And the exciting thing is that the fruit shows, right? And at the end of the summer, we had 51 new decisions for Christ that we know of kids going home, and continue to share that with their family and friends. And I get calls quite often hearing where one child's week at camp results in the whole family turning to the Lord. And so it's through that, we really just trust in prayer.
Daryl, when there's wind, rain, and fire happening all around you, what does a prayer with your counselor sound like? What are the words that you use when these things are so much bigger than you, are swirling around you, literally?
Yeah, like camp is generally an interesting place to put young people in, but start adding some bigger things like that, and it really comes down to praying for God's will in it, and whatever that looks like. Even personally, and whether the fires were going on, other people, there was quite a bit of thinking about what's important to us as you're packing things up and trying to decide what to take. And for me, even myself, it's a good reminder that they can all go. It doesn't matter. But it caused questions in other people as well. And there's some really neat opportunities with that.
Thank you. Adrian, your role as campus pastor at MBCI. Share with us a story.
All right. I'll stick to my notes because I am a pastor, so I can go on for a while. There were no apparent visible signs of an interest in the things of God. One couldn't see the fruits of a life committed to Jesus. Yet she had seen something that she wanted. She had heard the stories. She knew what could happen if she was willing to give 10 days to let God work. She had seen growth and passion explode in others, but she needed encouragement, and so did they. There was a whole group of students that wanted to get to know the Lord in a more deeper, real, everyday kind of way. So we prayed. The teachers, the staff, some parents, anyone who would listen. We had some students that wanted to learn more about Jesus, who wanted to serve others, but weren't sure if they could muster the courage to take another step in his direction. So we prayed. The Lord did hear our prayers and answered. A whole contingent of upper-class students signed up for SOAR, our MB Mission Inner-City Missions and Service Experience during spring break. They participated and gave God their minds and hearts to transform them as they had seen him do with their friends in the past. God met with them in their willingness to meet with him. He spoke life and love into their lives through drawing, through friendships, through prayer and teaching, through quiet times in the Word, through young lives that were overjoyed but to be served by us. God began a life-changing process in the students in whom others had lost hope. Let us remember that no one is out of God's reach. Let us desire the life-giving water that they desired, the everlasting bread that he offers to all. So that's one person. You may know someone like this. His smile usually cheers people up. There's always usually laughter where he is. His good-natured personality can define the climate in the grade. It can set the precedent. But his gaze is down these days. You may not see his eyes at all. His mood can change as the wind blows. He knows the Lord. He prays and he asks for God's wisdom and strength, his courage and God's joy. But each day is different. Each day has its challenges, and each day he feels sad. Sad about who he is, sad about where he is, sad about missed opportunities, frustrated with people asking him, "How are you doing?" Confused with not knowing how to answer that honestly without sounding like a broken record. One could give him the Ephesians 6:11 passage. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Or one could encourage him with the many promises of who he is in Jesus Christ, a brother to Jesus, washed white like God sees Jesus, a child of the King, an heir of Christ. This could help, but this sometimes doesn't help. Youth of today often feel deep, deep feelings. These can be feelings of joy, but these can also be feelings of sadness. These feelings can influence any and every part of their day. Our parents, our teachers, our staff, our alumni at MBCI, we pray for these students often. We pray that God's love would penetrate these deep emotions and hit home in their hearts while they're still young. We pray that he would protect them when these sad feelings overwhelm them. We pray that their peers could come alongside to encourage and walk the journey with them. We pray that they do see the light at the end of the tunnel. So lastly, would you join us in praying for the youth of our day? That's my call to you. They greatly need our prayers.
Thank you, Adrian. I want to ask you one more question. If you were to take your prayer experience and give it to us in one word out of your unique place of ministry and witness, what would that be? So I'll start with you, Hupta Michael. If you were to put that into one word, how would you characterize prayer in your community?
If I explain in one word, prayer is the life of the church.
We'll
The
give
life
you a
of-
phrase. We'll give you permission to add 3 more words.
Okay.
Say it again.
Prayer is the life of individual life, the life of the church.
Claude?
Necessary.
Darrell?
The word that came to my mind was faithful, and that's in God's response to our prayers.
And mine was daily. We need to do it all the time. With the youth that we work with, I mean, there's always no issues uncommon, and we need it daily.
Thank you. Thank you to each one of you for leading us in prayer this afternoon. Let's celebrate what you've just heard by clapping and extending our thanks to them, but giving praise to God.